So the first thing to notice on the menu is that each of the beans are from a whole different continent. Currently we have some Kenyan beans, we have some Indian beans, and we have some from Brazil. Now each of the three coffees will have a totally different taste, and then we're actually going to show you how we're going to brew it in some different ways, and the different brew methods will actually give you a different taste even within one of the types of beans. So what you'll see is that we've got a set of scales here, and we're going to put a little empty tub on, and this is our first set of beans, which are from Kenya. And what we do is we are aiming for exactly the right amount to the gram, and then we're going to seal that up, and that's actually going to make enough coffee for one. Then what's going to happen is, as you come in as a customer and you decide on which of the beans it is that you think that you'd like, we know whether to take them out of pots 1, 2 or 3, and the barista is able to take from the shelf and put them straight into the grinder. Another good thing to remember when you're choosing which coffee to have is that there isn't really a right or wrong answer. A lot of people come in and ask, well, which one's the best? And that's kind of a hard question to answer because, well, it's just which one's the best for you. Some people like their coffee bitter, some people like their coffee fruity, some people like it with milk and 2 sugars. So just come in and have a go. There aren't really any right or wrong answers. Now the next thing that's important when it comes to making really good coffee is the type of water that you use. It's important to us that we actually heat the water not to boiling. Here in Lurgan we have particularly hard water, and so it's important to filter it. So the water that you end up with when you put your jug in and you hit start comes out, it portions it so we have exactly the right amount, and it heats it to exactly the right temperature. From a customer's point of view, it doesn't really matter how we heat the water, but there's 2 things that should matter. The first thing is that that little machine also purifies the water. And the second thing is that because the water was never boiled, it means that the coffee was never burnt. What that means is that in each of the flavors, you should be able to taste the sweetness, the aroma, and the balance of the fruitiness of the coffee. Now, we're not telling you how to take your coffee. We're not trying to tell you what's right and what's wrong. All this is doing is giving you a second option and more options to explore. So this morning we're going to talk about the grinding of the actual coffee beans itself. This machine is set up already so that it grinds at the correct coarseness, and we've already done our dose, so we know that we're only ever going to grind the correct amount of coffee as well. So all we do is we put the beans in the top, pop this in underneath and press the button. After about 30 seconds the coffee has all been ground. The one thing that I would say is that it's always important to grind your coffee just before you drink it. That probably is going to lift the quality and flavour of the coffee more than any other step in this procedure. The first technique that I'm going to demonstrate is the AeroPress. What you need to know first is that the AeroPress is kind of like a big medical syringe. First thing that we do is we put the paper into the bottom and just moisten it a little. The reason why we do that is because it takes away the taste of the actual paper itself. And we screw it into place and add the grounds. We put this over the top of the cup and add just enough of the water to cover the top of the beans. At this point then we wait for 30 seconds. So 30 seconds later we take the rest of the hot water and we bring it right up to the top of the AeroPress, and then you put this little stirrer in, and it really is just as simple as that. The cap goes on top and we press down. Now the best thing about the AeroPress is what it does is it takes away all of the crema, it takes away all of the oil, and it takes away all of the bitterness from the coffee. So there you have it. That's a Love Coffee AeroPress. Now we serve all of our filter coffees with just a small glass of water. So this one is actually the Kenyan coffee. Now, the Kenyan Karariru is a fruity and sweet but full-bodied coffee. It's bursting with dried fruit notes, smooth throughout, with a clean, sweet aftertaste. Now, the second technique that I'd like to show you is our dripper or V60. And basically what we're doing is we're using a little paper and we're putting the coffee in as usual. Now, just like last time, a little tiny bit of water. Then we're putting that over the cup and we're putting our beans in there. Similar to last time, this time what we're doing is just covering the coffee again, and that allows it to bloom. And again, we're giving it 30 seconds. Now, after our 30 seconds have passed, we can add the rest of our water in on top. And ideally what you're trying to do is to pour in the top at the exact same speed as the water's coming out of the bottom. You will have a stronger cup of coffee, and the flavours will be darker and it will be more full-bodied. Now, if you're coming along to share your filter coffee with a friend, or you're feeling particularly thirsty, we can actually do the V60 in a double quantity Hario decanter. The coffee that we just brewed was the second selection that we currently have available, which is from India's Elk Hill. It's got flavours of chocolate, cedarwood, pepper, and some nuttiness there as well. And now the final brewing technique is the cafetiere. So this time around we're going to brew the water a little bit hotter. So this time it's at 90 degrees. We're putting our beans in and we're putting a little bit of hot water. Again, this hot water is slightly hotter than before. This one's at 90. So we fill it right up to the top. And just to keep the heat in, I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on. And then we have these little timers. Now we're aiming for 3 minutes. When that timer comes to an end, what we will notice is that this one doesn't remove the crema. It doesn't remove the oil and it doesn't remove the sediment. So in this one what you get is all of the flavour of the coffee. All of the roundedness, all of the texture. It will be darker, more earthy, and much more fuller bodied. You'll be able to taste more of the flavour. So in the little cafetiere today we brewed the Brazilian coffee, which is our yellow bourbon pantano. This one is chocolate and floral. There's hints of berries, and it is mildly acidic but leads to a caramel sweetness. There's 4 great ways to brew essentially the same coffee. We're always keen to hear your feedback on the coffees, and we're also keen to hear on where you think we're wrong, where you think we're right, and which one's your favourite. Thanks for watching.